What is up? What is up? And welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host Matt, and as always, we've got blood sport to talk, but unfortunately, no beer to drink. We're just not drinking today. Got a busy week ahead of me, and I gotta wake up super early. But that's not what's important. Like that camera shake there. What's important is the MMA events we got coming up this week, the boxing events that happened this past weekend. I'm sorry for my hiatus, my sabbatical. There's just kind of a lull in combat sports, and I couldn't do a whole show talking about Gervonta Davis and him fighting trash cans all the time. We'll get into that. I don't think Rolly Romero is a trash can. That was a pretty good fight. We'll get into it. The important things we're talking about today, we got UFC Fight Night, Volkov versus Rozenstruik, and then ONE FC. They have a card coming up as well that's going to feature Fabricio Andrade. We'll get into that in just a moment, and then we're going to look ahead to the news and things, the fights that are coming this summer. It's going to be a great summer for MMA fans, and I'm sure some boxing fights will pop up here and there as well. Dana White was quoted today or yesterday just saying it's a broken sport, and that's a perfect way to describe it. There's not much going on there. But we'll go ahead and start with the UFC fights. So it's going to have a lot of exciting fighters, some prospects. We got Alonzo Menifield on there. He's had a little bit of a rough patch in the UFC, but he's only fought studs, and he's a beast. We're also going to get to see Joe Solecki on the card. He's taking on Alex Da Silva. Solecki's got some insane wrestling, great jiu-jitsu as well, great ground game. And his last fight, he's coming off a loss. I can't think of who he lost to right off the top of my head, but prior to that, he was just beating everybody. Dude's a beast. And then Alonzo Menifield, he's taking on Askar Majarov. I believe this is Majarov's UFC debut. He's from Ukraine, and I don't know a lot about him, but Menifield, he's a powerful dude. He's got good wrestling. He can hold his own in there with anyone, and he's definitely got the knockout power to finish it. See how this guy does in his debut. If it is, I might be mistaken. But in the co-main event, we got Dan 50K Ige. He's taking on Mavsar Evlov. Evlov, undefeated featherweight, 15-0. He's trying to climb the ranks and get to that title shot. He's young. Ige, he's coming off of a 2-fight skid right now, but dude has some dynamite in his hands. He's got good wrestling, but it's not going to be anything that Evlov hasn't seen. Dude's got some insane pressure in general with his striking and his takedowns and how he keeps you down. He's got that Dagestani style, man. But Ige, don't blink because he's got fucking dynamite in his hand. So this is going to be a fun fight. I'm thinking Evlov pulls out the decision, but Ige can always put your lights out at any moment. So it's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. And then in the main event, we got two heavyweights going at it with Alexander Volkov. He's taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Both are kickboxers. I wouldn't expect this fight to go to the ground. Both are coming off some losses. Alexander Volkov just got tapped out with a straight arm bar to Tom Aspinall. So this is going to be a fun fight. I don't think it's going to decision, but I don't think it's hitting the ground either unless it's some ground and pound to finish the fight. These guys like to strike. They're powerful. They're very calculated. They got good technique. Both were amazing kickboxers as well as MMA fighters. So we're gonna see a war here, and I think we're gonna see a knockout in the second, maybe third round because they are calculated, but they're big boys at heavyweight. Big boys. And then ONE FC, they've got a fight card coming up. This is going to be Friday at 8:30 in the morning. I believe it's on the ONE app or YouTube. That's generally what it's on. But it's going to be Fabricio Andrade versus Juan Il Quan. I don't know about Juan Il Quan, but he's 24 years old. Dude's a beast under the ONE banner. He's got some insane Muay Thai. His fights are always super exciting to watch. He likes to stand up, but he's got good jiu-jitsu as well. So that's going to be fun to watch. And then, I don't know anybody else on this one card, but there's usually some fun ones on there if you just tune in and watch it. Usually they're on YouTube or the ONE app, which is also free, so that's awesome. And then this summer, because that's all we got for the combat sport events, unless you're watching Cage Warriors or I think it's CFFC and LFA. That's really all that's going on. But this summer, what we got going on, June 11th, Glover Teixeira versus Yuri Prohaska for the light heavyweight title at UFC 275. That's going to be a banger. The card's stacked. And then the next week on Friday, June 17th, PFL is returning for its second round in the regular season for their playoffs. Got the following day, Calvin Kattar taking on Josh Emmett in UFC Fight Night on ESPN. And then Bellator's got Mousasi versus Eblin coming up on June 24th. And later in the summer, we got Adesanya versus Cannonier. We got Dana White Contender Series coming back. In August, we're going to see the PFL playoffs. It's going to be a fun summer for MMA fans. I can definitely say that. And then as far as, because we're not going to get into every single card, but as far as MMA news, combat sports news, we had Paulo Costa. He reportedly struck a nurse. He elbowed her or him over a dispute with a vaccination card. So I don't know what's going on with him. Everything he says sounds really dumb, and then everything he does seems really dumb also. So ever since Izzy, he's been kind of fucked. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it's not true, but it is what it is. And then we had Jorge Masvidal and Conor McGregor. They were going back and forth on Twitter. Conor calling him a dumbass. Jorge saying he'd be the biggest payday of his life or something. I think that would be an awesome fight. It'd stand up. Both heavy hands. Make it happen. Take my money. And then UFC featherweight Ryan Hall. He suffered an ACL tear. He's going to be out until 2023. Sucks to see or hear or read. And then, like I said, we're going to get into the Gervonta Davis fight. So he was taking on Rolly Romero. I thought Romero was kind of catching him more than Davis was him. But it was a dance match for about 6 rounds, which is how long it lasted. They were feeling each other out. Not a ton of action. But Gervonta Davis, round 6, throws the perfect left hook, puts him out. Dude could not stand up, couldn't respond to the ref. They called it off. Davis wins by 6-round TKO. It was a fun fight because when there was action, they were cracking each other. But Davis, 25 KOs out of 27 fights. He needs to step up in competition. Give him Lomachenko. Loma would be a true test because I don't think Davis I don't think any lightweight in boxing has what it takes to take down Loma. But that's the king of the division with no crown. That's all I have for you for today's episode. It was a short one. Thank you for tuning in to episode 30 of Blood and Beer. Sorry there was no beer on it if that's what you tune in for. But catch next episode Monday, June 6th. We're going to be recapping those fights that I just went over with you and getting into more MMA news, combat sports news, see what's going on, any new fights made. I appreciate you tuning in, and this has been Blood and Beer.